Bruno to the Saudi Pro League? Could it happen?
I think it could happen, but I would not put money on it happening anytime soon. The situation regarding the Saudis is this. The Saudi Pro League are planning on making some big moves in the summer transfer window. They're considering making approaches for players like Bruno Fernandes, Jack Grealish at Manchester City, also Victor Osimhen. These are the kind of names they're looking at. But if you're telling me, is Bruno Fernandes going to leave Old Trafford this summer, I would say to you that is not going to happen.
Hold on. How much are they offering Bruno Fernandes to go to Saudi?
Well, nothing is concrete. I haven't been told any numbers. If they were to offer him a contract, of course it would be a massive contract, but the people I speak to in Saudi Arabia are telling me, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We've not got to the position yet where any offers have been made, any approaches have been made. Also, from the player's perspective, Bruno Fernandes is the captain of Manchester United. He's happy at United. He's settled at United. He signed a new contract last summer. I don't think he wants to move to the Saudi Pro League anytime soon. So the simple answer to your question is, it's not going to happen, but I do believe there will be some big money deals for the Saudi Pro League this summer. Not as big as 2 years ago. 2 years ago, you remember, they shocked the football world. £700 million they spent on players like Neymar, Karim Benzema. Last summer, it was a bit quieter. It dropped by about 50%.
I thought that was a change of approach. Are they going back to the original approach?
Well, no. Well, there was a change of approach because SPL clubs, they're only allowed to have a maximum of 8 foreign players over 21. So they can't just keep signing foreign players. They have to be a little bit careful. So it dropped by about 50% last summer. This summer, I'm being told it is going to rise again. But the kind of deals they're looking at, do you remember in January, Al Nassr signed John Duran from Aston Villa, £64 million. Yeah. He's 21 years old. They want to do more sensible deals like that. But definitely, Bruno Fernandes, Jack Grealish, Victor Osimhen are all names that have been mentioned to us.
Saudis offer Fernandes £1 million a week to leave United. Al Hilal, the club in question. Any legs in this story, David, do you think?
Well, there's been a long-term interest, Teddy, from the Saudi Pro League in Bruno Fernandes. I think there were proposals last summer before he signed a new contract at United that keeps him there until, I think, 2027, possibly with an option to extend by 12 months. Al Hilal were, if I remember correctly, in the market for Mo Salah. He obviously decided to sign a new deal at Liverpool, and so perhaps their attention has turned back to Bruno Fernandes, who's been incredible for Manchester United throughout his time at the club, and especially in difficult circumstances this season. His goals and assists are right up there with the best players, and they'd be lost without him, which is why, in their mind, he's not going anywhere. They won't want to entertain offers, let alone his departure. If they're going to be shifting players, and they will be this summer, quite spectacularly, I imagine, they won't want Fernandes to be one of them. They'll want to build around him. Even though he turns 31 this year, his productivity is still there. And the soundings we're getting from these reports are that Bruno Fernandes is not interested in the move as things stand. Now, we don't know if that will change with the sort of numbers that might be proposed, and they will become eye-watering, I'm sure, if they really want to go for Bruno Fernandes. But if he wants to stay and continue his career in Europe, and Manchester United genuinely have no intent in cashing in on him regardless of their financial situation, then I imagine it's a story that will end in him remaining at Old Trafford over the summer and into next season.
As David says there, Riyadh, especially when you consider he's been playing deep-lying midfield for some of this season in one of the worst Manchester United teams we can remember. 19 goals and 18 assists. Is he irreplaceable? And do you expect him maybe to have a little bit of leverage to want some assurances from Ruben Amorim about what the actual plan is?
I think he'd be entitled to seek those assurances, even if Al Hilal weren't putting crazy money on the table. Look, if I was to be being a little bit facetious about it, he might fancy joining an upwardly mobile club. But look, we know what the Saudi league is. We know where they stand compared to Manchester United. So I'd be utterly amazed if he even considered this stage in his career when he's 30. But he'd have every right to ask United what their plans are. When is there going to be some coherence in this strategy they've got? When are they going to start bringing in players that are suitable for the Premier League, suitable for Manchester United, and equipped to get them moving forward again? I'd be amazed if he hadn't been having those conversations for the last couple of seasons, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, he has been their standout by a distance. I think we can all have a debate about his captaincy merits in terms of his temperament on the pitch, the way he sometimes behaves, but as a player, he's fantastic. And I think, we've already touched on the stats there: 19 goals, 18 assists in that team. I think you could make an argument in that context for player of the season.
Be amazing, wouldn't it, if that came about? We'll see what happens with Bruno.
A lot of speculation over the last 24, 48 hours about Bruno Fernandes and his future. Alejandro has mentioned there's a lot of rumours around. What is your view of Bruno Fernandes and his importance to this team and this squad, not just for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but going forward?
I think it's easy to understand that, not just because of the numbers, but the way he plays, the importance that he has during his 5 years, I think, here. He's a top player. We need the top players. He's a leader. He's the captain. So he's really important. It's normal that there's a lot of clubs that want a player like Bruno, like Garnacho, like others, but we want to keep the best players. And Bruno is clearly one of the top players in the world. So our idea didn't change. We want Bruno here.
David Ornstein has revealed Bruno Fernandes' true stance on the eye-watering offer he has received from the Saudi Pro League this week. Speculation about Al Hilal's pursuit of Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes has emerged significantly in recent days. Reports from Saudi Arabia on Monday claimed that officials from the Saudi Pro League club had held discussions with Fernandes' lawyer, Cotano Maria, and agent, Miguel Robin, regarding a potential summer move. Al Hilal is reportedly eager to land a high-profile signing before the Club World Cup kicks off on June 14th and are willing to offer a staggering wage packet which would see Fernandes earn well over $1 million per week. However, further reports have indicated that United have no intention of parting with the 30-year-old, who is seen as a crucial figure in Ruben Amorim's plans at Old Trafford. The United boss explained that he wants to keep Fernandes during his latest press conference. While the plan at Old Trafford is to keep their creative midfielder, you never know what would happen when Saudi money comes into the equation. Fernandes would be earning significantly more than he currently does, even though he is United's highest-paid player, and that is always a lure for players. However, transfer expert David Ornstein has suggested that United skipper is not interested in the move currently, and that he anticipates Fernandes remaining at the Premier League club for next season. In their United's mind, has not going anywhere. They'll want to build around him, Ornstein said when discussing the topic on Sky Sports News. And the sounding we're getting from these reports are that Bruno Fernandes is not interested in the move as things stand. We don't know if that will change with the sort of numbers that might be proposed, and they will become eye-watering if they really want to go for Bruno Fernandes. But if he wants to stay and continue his career in Europe, and Manchester United genuinely have no intent in cashing in on him regardless of their financial situation, then I imagine it's a story that will end in him remaining at Old Trafford over the summer and into next season. United simply cannot head into next season without Fernandes leading the team out of the tunnel. Not only would it seem wrong to sell the captain, but it also makes little sense. There would be a lot of money on the table, but everyone would have doubts about how United could spend that cash. If there was evidence of United being able to recruit well and make the most out of their transfer kitty, perhaps there would be more fans inclined to the deal. But it is then completely opposite, and while there is a new regime in charge, they still have to prove themselves in the transfer market, and having to replace the only world-class player in the squad would almost be impossible for them. There is enough on the plate at Old Trafford this summer before adding in the task of somehow trying to replace Bruno Fernandes. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like they will have to do that.